From Counter-Strike home here in Dallas, we are in Texas for a Counter-Strike culmination. We're here to see the Pro League Season 7 come to a close and crown a new champion. I am your host, Alex Machine Richardson, and we have got so much going on from so many different places. It is indeed called Counter-Strike Global Offensive for a reason, and this Pro League is going to be starting to show just a little bit of a peek and a taste of that. We've got so much coming up on today's show. We're going to be touching on, of course, some of the big names. You've got the likes of Astralis, seeing if they're going to be continuing to forge their dynasty, as well as some curveballs. We don't know. We got a little taste in Sydney of what Greyhound Gaming here as well. We get to see what they're capable of. They came through the APAC region. And on top of that, we also get to see some new names you won't be familiar with from the Latin America region. There's so much for us to look forward to and to dig into. It's all coming up. I mean, if we could bring up how the schedule will look, you can see a look at day one. On both streams, it looks like we're going to be running them simultaneously, but we get Cloud9 versus Faze for, I think that's the 9,716th time in 2018. NRG versus Heroic, Renegades versus Space Soldiers. Finally, we get to see Space Soldiers in an offline event after their, what, rather flaccid performance last time we saw them take to the stage. And SK versus NIP, that's all coming up on our main stream. You can see all the secondary games, talking of Greyhound, MVP, those names you may not be familiar with. They're all going to be over on that secondary stream running simultaneously. You can hang out with Hugo, Byron, and all of that good stuff. And that is how the Pro League is going to be going down. We're live from Dallas, and I'll be introducing everyone else after this.
Has to go toe-to-toe with him now. We talked about flashiness. Can use the flash here. He does it again.
Welcome to the Gameflip Pre-Show.
Feels like only yesterday I was standing at this desk and telling you about the Gameflip giveaway, which you can find at none other than gameflip.com/ESL from Copenhagen, with my chums by my side. The same very faces that I've been talking to all day, every week, day in, day out, around the world. This time we find ourselves in Dallas. It's, of course, Chad Sponge Birchall and Janko YNK Paunovic. Gents, we spent a long time in that Copenhagen studio watching teams try and get themselves to Dallas. Now we find ourselves here. It's been a long road just to get these 7 teams from Europe. At least that's the region we were covering.
Are you fed up with our faces yet, Alex?
Not yet. I think we're getting close.
Mostly their voices, I guess.
I think so. I think I actually sometimes dream of analyst desks.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I think I call it a nightmare at this point.
It's no longer a dream. No longer a dream.
We're living the dream, Alex.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's boiling hot. We went from Sydney to Dallas, and it was hotter in Dallas.
Just for those who don't know how the world works, in Australia, Southern Hemisphere, guys, it's starting to go into autumn. No, we're in autumn, going into winter. So it's going to be colder. It's just how it works.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still went for a swim in the sea.
I took you into the ocean
in autumn.
to embrace it.
So I was the weatherman.
That's true. Yeah, well, maybe we'll get some more taste of Janko's luxury weatherman status a little later on. For now, though, why don't we quickly talk about the Intel Grand Slam? Now, $1 million on the line. And Chad, we've been starting a conversation. Janko, in fact, you were the one that shouted out as soon as we hit Marseille's victory that this was looking good for the Danes. Not quite good enough in Sydney, though.
Yeah, that was, I mean, the shocker of the tournament. Really, Astralis looked amazing throughout the whole tournament in Sydney. On the other side of things, Faze was looking, you know, very average, some of the poorer performances from them. And then we had that amazing grand final where Faze completely stepped up. And Astralis, I don't think they were making any major mistakes. I don't think they were playing poorly. I think it was just a great final, and Faze managed to win 3-0, but probably the closest 3-0 we're ever going to see in CSGO.
I mean, that is one of those scenarios where you can sit there as an analyst and say, oh, I think Astralis are going to take this 3-0,
Yeah.
and then Faze take it 3-0, and you go, that makes sense. You know, like that's how weird it was.
With how close those matches were, for sure. It was a great final in that sense, and the fact that it wasn't blowouts was good to see. You know, normally you get best of fives that can be heavily weighted, but one of those things with the Intel Grand Slam is SK are running out of chances now with that first win that they had in Cologne. It's slowly slipping away. They're going to have to win the next 2 in a row, I believe, if they want to take it in 4.
They should start by making the playoffs.
That's a good place for them, yeah.
I think for SK, I was with you on that hype train saying, yeah, they can close it out in Brazil in front of the home crowd, and then they are dropping out of tournaments to Australian teams. So I think for them, there's more pressing matters at first.
Yeah, we are going to be taking a look at all of the regions, but let's start with the one they're talking about. SK are, of course, in the North American division of the Pro League. Let's take a look at who qualified.
Team Liquid made some big adjustments to their roster recently. The addition of NAF and Brazilian support player Taco has not changed their path to become the top team in North America. Their performance in the online season has already been outstanding. As the big surprise of the North American region, Energy are on fire right now, particularly due to their young Bulgarian star sniper, Cirque. And after a strong run in the last Pro League finals, this is their chance to really shine on the international stage. Optic still wants to break into the absolute top tier of Counter-Strike teams. Now they are trying out an all-Danish roster with several highly skilled players from one of the world's top CS scenes, including upcoming sniper prodigy Juki. After a group stage exit in Sydney, Cloud9 now has to prove that the exit of Stewie 2K has not crippled the roster of the current major champions. Can the new captain, FNS, come up with a fitting game plan for his team? With an impressive performance in front of a home crowd at Intel Extreme Masters Sydney, Renegades comes into the Pro League finals hot. If the team is able to carry over the momentum from their last tournament, they could become a threat even to some of the top teams. It is a time of transition for SK Gaming. Stewie 2K joined the roster in what many consider a surprise move. With Coldzera now taking over the leadership of the team, can the Brazilian Giants reclaim their spot at the top? Even as the #1 placed team of the Asia-Pacific region, MVP PK will have to go above and beyond in Dallas to have any chance of making it to the playoffs. As the only Asian team in Dallas, they are fighting for the honor of a whole continent. Greyhound, runners-up of the Asia-Pacific region, managed to pull off a huge upset at IEM Sydney when they knocked out SK in a best-of-3. However, they are still one of the clear underdogs here in Dallas.
Still so weird to see Dust 2 on the replays. We are back, of course, in the map pool with Dust 2, but take a look through those standings for me, Yenko.
Yeah, I think in the end we got what we expected mostly from the North American region. SK was looking shaky there for a while. It took them, you know, the very last game of the NA Pro League to secure that playoff spot, but I don't think there's any really big upsets in that region. Yes, in the order of teams that qualified, but in the end, who qualified is business as usual.
And there was a couple more surprises, and that's of course with the new edition of the APAC region. Now they introduced this right towards the end of the season, announcing that there was going to be some new teams present in the finals.
Yeah, we had some teams coming in from Australia, obviously, from Asia, and then they all met in Sydney for a final, and this is the results that we had as they got to the end of that bracket. Greyhound obviously upsetting SK Gaming just in Sydney, some fantastic things out of them, went down to MVP in the grand final, and I did actually watch that match. MVP had Cobble up their sleeve, but now that one's out of the pool. I'm not quite sure where they could be lending, but two teams who can potentially get those upset wins in the best of ones.
Well, I mean, talk of them. I mean, Greyhound did manage to get the European teams on the edge, at least in Sydney. They pushed them all the way. In fact, a majority of the teams there did just that. But we're going to go ahead and meet some of the European teams, the teams that managed to get themselves here, foot on Dallas soil.
In the last month, Mouse Sports rose through the ranks of the best Counter-Strike teams with 2 recent tournament victories and a top 4 placing from IEM Sydney under their belt. They already proved to be far more than an online team. With former Fnatic superstar Dennis as their new captain, the Ninjas in Pajamas were able to pull off an impressive performance during the online season. However, this new roster still has to show what they are able to do at a LAN event. After a disappointing period, Na'Vi is on its way back to the top, thanks to stellar performances by their superstar Simple and improving team play. The CIS squad managed to finish as the runners-up at DreamHack Marseille. Faze Clan are still the most consistent team in Counter-Strike, going deep in nearly every tournament they attend. And with Exist standing in for the star-studded team, they are looking stronger than ever. The hype around Space Soldiers is on hold for now. The Turks have lost their most favored map in the form of Cobblestone, but still enter the tournament as one of the hottest prospects of the Counter-Strike scene. The champions of DreamHack Marseille, Astralis, had to bow down to the Faze clan in the grand final of recent IEM. However, they remain one of the most efficient machines in the world of Counter-Strike and one of the top contenders for the next Pro League title. Coming into the team as a replacement for Hellraisers, Heroic have to prove that they deserve their spot among the best Pro League teams from all around the world. But as the roster is plagued by several unwanted roster changes, they might have a tough time to find a footing here in Dallas. This is the first major tournament for the Sharks. Coming from the newly formed Latin American League, the Brazilians might be the underdogs of the group, but as an unknown factor, they might be able to catch some of the veterans off guard.
Not going to be easy, that's for sure, and take a little look. I'm not sure what's quite going on there. We're seeing some intriguing names, but Mouse Sports there, Astralis and Hellraisers, in case you're getting confused. But
Logos help.
But what will be confusing you a little more is the fact that you don't see that 7th spot. Perhaps you want to do the housekeeping for us, Yanko? I mean, maybe you can explain a little bit of that Hellraiser situation.
Yeah, sure. They had the whole visa situation plague them yet again. Voxic being Turkish and not being able to obtain a visa for the US. Hellraisers decided to pull out of the tournament altogether and not being able to play with him, one of the star players. The invite, they formed a team now after the departure of Yugi and Snappy to Optic, Optic becoming a full Danish lineup. They got Kroman, the Norwegian player, and Freiberg, obviously the Swedish player, to play for them.
This has happened time and time again. I know this isn't a conversation we probably have when we're trying to have a snappy pre-show, but there is just, I mean, a couple of words, Chad, from you. This is like the 3rd event off the top of my head that I could list that we haven't got to see Hellraisers be able to field their full roster.
Yeah, those visa issues have been a bit of a problem for them. Yeah. And Voxic is one of the best players in that team, right? He's really emerged. He's coming out of the whole FPL system and he's looking like a hot prospect with ESA. It's just a shame that they work, you know, a 7-week season and then they can't come here and play in the finals to prove their worth.
I'm Hellraisers. I'm like doing everything I can, get them some sport visas, that they like talk to the LCS guys, work out how they're doing it. And
we saw them in Odense, right? And they, you know, they put a bit of a dent in that tournament. That's where they kind of had their first real showing. So it's just a shame we can't see them here again. Yeah.
And also same for Space Soldiers, right? They have to play without Calyx for this tournament, and we built such a cool storyline for them coming into Marseille. They qualified for all these tournaments. Then they ended up bombing out of Marseille 2-0, not getting their visas for Sydney, not playing there. Have to play with the standing here, right? The Istanbul tournament is still up in the air. So what could have been a great, you know, run for Space Soldiers turns out we're not going to see as much from
I've got a sprinkle of Himalayan salt as well into the wound, and that's the fact. The cobblestone is out of the map pool as well.
Yeah.
Like this, actually, I mean, I'm smiling, but we've just described a really horrible couple of months for the Space Soldiers, guys. But let's quickly talk a little bit more about the general gist of things. In fact, you can see where Space Soldiers slot in with the group draw, how things were decided. Now, last time it was a little bit more spicy. This time, rather, but
I'm going to say boring, Alex.
I was going to say boring.
You can say boring.
Yeah.
I think boring is probably, last time round, you know, where you were seeded gave you like choice of who you were going to be putting in the other group. Now this time round, it's merely decided your seeding pools. Obviously, Mouse Sports and Liquid topping their respective regions. And as we go down the list here, you can see that these teams have been put in seeding pools and then split into the 2 groups. Now, actually looking at it on paper, for me, these groups look relatively even. It's kind of worked out quite nicely for once. We don't seem to have anything that's too stacked.
Yeah, but I think that's like, obviously you see them, but you can't see them too much. You have to, you know, include the standings of the regular season. And we know that the standings can always be a bit random because teams don't really aim for that #1 spot in Pro League necessarily. They just aim to be in the top 7 or top 5, depending on the region, so you get a spot for the playoff. I think, if anything, we were lucky that it turned out the way it is, that we got some equal groups. In other scenarios, it could have been a nightmare.
It's a luxury. It really is, that we do get to come to this tournament without any excuses of, oh, this group's stacked and X, Y, and Z. Instead, I would like to start talking about Group A while we bring it up on your screens as well. So Mouse Sports clearly going to be, once again, a question mark.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think when we saw them play in Sydney, it was much better than what we saw out of them in Marseille, and they will attest to the fact that they felt better at that event. But for me, the big one here is going to be Na'Vi. We obviously saw what they did at Marseille. They looked hot, and throughout the entire regular season, Simple was the man. As we go into a Na'Vi discussion, it's like, let's not talk about Simple, and then the whole chat is just about how absolutely beast mode this guy is. So for me, them and NIP are like the 2 standouts going into this event.
And also has to be taken into consideration, right? Mouse Sports, for example, as a couple of other teams, teams traveling to Sydney, then going all the way back to Europe, and after only a couple of days traveling to North America for this tournament, it's very much strenuous. And Na'Vi, they were supposed to be in Sydney, couldn't secure visas. A blessing in disguise, maybe, because they got that extra time to practice, and Na'Vi definitely needed it.
I really hope we get to see the same Na'Vi we saw in Marseille, as in we get to get another glimpse at what could be another team that we get to see on those semi-finals and those grand final stages, because at the moment the pickings are slim.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, you know, when you look at how contested that last event, by the time we got to the finals, right, that looked like Australia's event, but then Faze kind of blew them out of the water. The scene isn't as set as where we thought it was after Marseille. That learning experience was quickly thrown off the rails.
Absolutely.
Also, the problem, you know, we get a little bit biased, maybe, in a sense that the style, for example, that Astralis runs is great, so we always kind of give them a bit extra, give a bit consistency to them. And for Na'Vi, we tend to question them, right? Because a lot of the times it's who can help out simple. You don't see as much structure as you do with some of the other teams, which is strange for a team that has Zeus as the in-game leader. But Na'Vi are getting it done on LAN. I mean, then their LAN placings ever since, you know, the DreamHack Winter Tournament, even last year, have been playoffs, you know, top 4 finishes and so forth. So I think for Na'Vi, they've been doing better than maybe their game has been showing. So if they can only polish their game a bit more, I think we can see them even lift a trophy soon enough.
Okay, big statement. We'll see how they do here in the group stages. Of course, day one kicking off now. Now, the name at the bottom of the list that we haven't quite talked about too much is that of Sharks. Now, they are, of course, from the Latin America region. Their first big LAN event versus some of the cream of the Counter-Strike crop. And what's interesting is this is a testament to, look at Sydney, look at this. We are starting to see new talent arriving on the scene. And a player from our next group gave us a little perspective on Counter-Strike and its growth.
When I think back, way back to when I started playing Counter-Strike and how it's turned out till now, like the big difference is most definitely the professionalism that has come so far. When I first traveled to Korea back in 2005 and now being here in ESL Pro League, and it's just amazing how far the esports has grown, and it's been an amazing journey to be a part of, and I'm so proud to actually be here, and it's just amazing to witness. Playing for as long as I have and having the newer generation or the upcoming pro players joining the scene, I have 2 teammates, Draken and Rest, who is a lot younger than me, and I think me having played for so long, I have been in pretty much every single situation you could have been in, and I try to give them as much information or experience as I can and try to help them. Having so many different teams from different regions competing at the same event, I think for me it's really exciting and thrilling to see how, for example, the Asian scene has developed and what kind of game style they're playing, and it's very different from ours, and it's all very interesting. It's also very scary to play against them because you don't really know how they're going to perform or how they play. Sure, you can watch demos, but you're never really going to know how to play, and there's a lot of new teams popping up. Like Australia had a good showing a few events ago, and there's just a lot of interesting teams, and this is the type of tournament where you can get to play them and they get to show their skill, and it's just overall really thrilling. I don't know how to put it in any other way. I am very confident going into this tournament. There's no way in hell I'm gonna go to a tournament and think like, hey, if I can get out of groups, that's great. No, I'm here to grab the freaking trophy.
Freaking fantastic interview from Forrest there, talking about all things big and small and rewinding the clock somewhat. He is a bit of a veteran these days.
Yeah, definitely a legend of the game. And I think, you know, even some of these newer teams still have legends of the game in it. You have to just think this Sharks team has Knack. He was a 1.6 player for MIBR. We've got Solo and Glow, who are playing for the MVP. They were part of We Made Fox, the legendary Korean team.
Damn.
And then obviously by Forrest's side, obviously he's got Get Right. So we have players who have been playing this game for the majority of their lives here, Alex. It's pretty nuts.
It is crazy to see, especially the development. I mean, like you talk about Forrest, you talk about the Ninjas in Pajamas, even just as a team, as an organization. There's legacy attached to that. And also, you know, you can track his beard progress and the amount of times he talked on camera, where he used to just completely avoid all interviews, and now he's sitting there just with all his swagger in bucket loads. But as we take a look at the group, you know, NIP are here, and he says he's feeling full with confidence. I want to know, Janko, what's your read on NIP? Actually, they do seem to been surprising, quote unquote.
Yeah, I put them in the similar boat as Na'Vi, not looking as impressive perhaps in terms of their game, a bit more focused on individual plays, but still getting it done really when it comes to those LAN tournaments. So I think for NIP also, they weren't in Sydney, so they got a chance to put some extra practice in, and I expect them to look even better than they did in Marseille.
Absolutely. No, I think that's something that I've been kind of hoping to see more of. There is a couple of names that we do have to kind of breeze through. Astralis, SK, conversations for another time perhaps, but there is Renegades, Space Soldiers, Optic, all of these kind of unknown entities.
Yeah, we did touch on Space Soldiers. I think they're going to be very hamstrung, the fact that they don't have Calyx here. Renegades impressed in Sydney, but the thing with Renegades is I just expect them to fall flat here. The big and most interesting one in this group is Optic, right? The fact that it's a full Danish roster now from the North American region. They've added Yugi, they've added Snappy. Let's see what they've done. Let's see what's come together with this unit, because it could be very exciting.
Yeah, maybe they, you know, I don't know if there's going to be as big of a rift now that they can all speak in Danish and no, you know, English nonsense in there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Yugi, obviously haven't seen him in ages, right? In Pro League, every time it would be with Heroic, but they're missing Yugi, so what can we do? So yeah, them, Energy as well, they were close to playoffs in Sydney. Let's see if they can fix those small mistakes and maybe make a bigger dent here in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely, we'll get to see those guys battling versus Heroic first of all. Now, from the Heroic, from Optic to another Dane. In fact, it looks like Trace has managed to grab himself one. Let's go ahead and check in with our sideline report.
Thank you, Alex Machine Richardson. Yep, this is day one here at the ESL Pro League Finals in Dallas. I've managed to talk to Kerrigan this early in the morning. We didn't have breakfast this time, but that's completely okay. Kerrigan, talk to me about coming to Dallas after Sydney.
I mean, it's always nice to be here. We just managed to qualify for Dallas. So it was a tough game in the end. So all in all, we're happy with the win in Sydney, and we're here to try to replicate that and just play our game.
Well, what went right in Sydney is what I should ask, because, I mean, you guys did end up walking away with the trophy. What do you think went right there?
I don't know, we played 17 maps at a LAN tournament. It's a long time since that happened for us. So, I mean, we had a very rough start to group stage. A lot of pressure from the upcoming teams like Greyhound and Renegades we lost to. But after the Greyhound match, we managed to take a talk with the team and talk right before the Cloud9 game. And since then, we only lost one map, and that was against Tyloo. So we feel pretty comfortable coming into this tournament, and hopefully we can keep up the same mood.
Well, the last time you guys faced off against Cloud9, you guys obviously came out on top there. But today, you're going to get the chance to play them again. So talk to me about the different game plan today.
I mean, there can't really be any different game plan every time we play them. It's the 6th tournament in a row we play them. So I don't think we have to play our game like always. This time, it's not the map I expected it to be. So maybe that's something new come in. But we feel obviously very comfortable playing them. Beside the match we had in Marseille lately, we've been having a good matchup against them. And hopefully the same happens today.
Same could happen today, and it more than likely will. I saw you guys giggling during the vetoes, too. It was pretty, looked like a very emotional affair over there. Either way, we're going to cut to a quick break right before we jump into our first matchup here at the ESL Pro League. We'll be right back.
Incendiary out.
Did I seriously get that dude in smoke?
Yo. Oh my.
Game, record, and stream without compromise. An Intel Core i7.
Nice skills, but you gotta pump up that look. Let's game flip it.
What? Game flip?
Yeah, Game Flip. Proudly endorsed by SK Gaming. Game Flip is the marketplace where 3 million gamers buy and sell items from thousands of games, including CSGO.
Much better. Looking good.
Join our ESL Pro League giveaway.
Be a boss. Buy and sell on Game Flip.
See? Red Bull gives you wings.
We are back. We are legendary. We are passionate. We are Cologne.
The strike comes in for rain!
We are one.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, MSI, and ESEA.
Every single event in 2018 for Cloud9 and Faze, they have met. It's madness. Every single time, indeed, and indeed prior to Sydney, they were neck and neck. They clashed in Australia, now they do so here in Dallas. Unfortunately, I have some brains to my brawn, albeit someone's already told me I sound like a Sesame Street character today, so I
can't help it, man. You just got off we're doing an around-the-world trip. You're going to get sick at one point.
Your immune system struggles about the third 14-hour flight, I think, in 2 weeks. I think that's when it starts to...
That's the stats.
Yeah.
They're the stats that we're bringing you fresh and direct.
Guys, Cloud9 Faze, this keeps happening, and I'm not going to ask, how, what this means for a team. And as Kerrigan said, we can't change our game every single time.
Yeah, it just becomes a weird matchup at this point when you play someone so often. I mean, even in practice, you're not going to practice a certain team twice in a week because, there's no point really. So I think it becomes similar to when teams go into overtime, right, on a map. You don't see the same strategies. You start seeing some weird things happening because you're running out of ideas. You went through your playbook. So I think we're going to see something similar, especially after hearing Kerrigan saying that the map was something he didn't expect. So a curveball thrown by Cloud9.
I'm just looking at the maps played as well, Chad. Now,
it's a Mirage.
You're playing the same map. Yeah. Mirage, Overpass, Cash is even cropped up 3 times. There seems to be a very clear 3 or 4 map pull for these guys.
And I think for me, I have to lean towards Faze as being the heavy favorite in this matchup just because of what we saw them be able to do in Sydney. Now, they ramped up their form throughout the tournament. Now, it's not saying that Cloud9 can't come in here and have an absolute blinder. Yeah. It's just that you would lean towards Faze based on the caliber of the players. Now, with what Kerrigan Karrigan said, that leads me to initially think, oh, maybe Cloud9 have gone for a curveball. Maybe they've somehow vetoed it down to Nuke, or they've got them
best of one.
Just maps that they don't like tend to lean towards or play to take that risk. But most likely it's just not going to be Mirage, and maybe it'll be an Inferno or a Cage or something like that.
Yeah, I think the chances are higher for them to go for something where they want to surprise Faze, right? The only thing that you would think for Cloud9, if it's not Mirage, maybe picking Train, right? But apparently they're not super comfortable on that map just yet in order to pick it, so we'll have to see what they have in store for us.
So I'm actually receiving word we can't quite show you the vetoes just yet, but Cloud9 and Faze are going to be doing battle on Cash.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
okay.
So that is going to be the map of play. So read into that what you will.
Yeah, I guess it's a surprise because when they played in Sydney, Faze actually beat Cloud9 16-6. That's a very concise victory when you think about, you know, how these teams played at the major and how close that grand final was. A lot's happened since then. Obviously, Faze without Olaf Meister still lifting a trophy. Would that have existed in tow? And Stewie leaving this Cloud9 roster on your screen here, and FNS joining, adding more structure. Now, I think we have seen more structure come out of Cloud9. The one thing for me, the one player who I want to really highlight is Rush. I think he's like the barometer for this team because he's more of the entry fragger setting the pace. You've got Automatic, who's been relatively consistent. We know Skadoodle has his ups and downs. FNS has definitely been able to hold his own. For me, it's Rush needs to start off and kick off the game well if they want to have any chance against a Faze roster who should be on a high right now.
I mean, a huge high, right? I mean, that was a final that many painted to be quite the one-sided affair, quite the bleak outlook, actually, in realistic terms for Faze. And then what lessons did we learn from that final? Because Astralis were not necessarily playing poorly. Faze just seemed to find more form.
I think we learned that this Faze lineup can win tournaments still, even big ones, that they can grind out games. But I think we've also seen what the win conditions are for them. They won that final mostly on CT sides, right? On Overpass and Train. That's where they really pulled through. On Cash, yes, they had a great T side winning 10 rounds, but Cash is also the most T-sided map in the pool as of right now, and the most comfortable map for Faze. So we would probably expect that from them when it comes to Cash.
It feels weird going into a matchup and saying Cloud9 is going to be more strategic than Faze. Like, obviously, Faze isn't a hugely strategical team, but Cloud9 historically, especially when they had those good runs, it was basically just being able to do the fundamentals well. When you look at this Faze roster, I think Nico at Sydney was consistent throughout. He was the most consistent player. Then Guardian, obviously winning the MVP, he had the most impact. And then the other members, this is where I get a little bit more surprised, was Karrigan had a lot of multi-kills in pivotal rounds, and Exist had some really important clutches. So everybody contributed for this Faze roster when they needed to. And it was just that ramp up, right? Because we saw them losing against teams that they shouldn't be. Here, they're either going to be starting from ground zero again, and they're going to ramp up throughout the tournament, or they're going to continue where they left. And this is why it gets so difficult, especially with a matchup like this, to do an analysis of teams who play so often. It just is going to be what form have they woken up with. So hard to go, we're going to base it off of set strats or changes in those kind of things.
But the one thing that we can go off is, you know, just the how confusing it is when you take a look at Marseille and Sydney next to each other. In Marseille, Cloud9 pushed them to the limit. I mean, we got to see them take it. It was 16-14, 16-13. So they pick up a series, best of three, nearly all the rounds, Yanko. And then we come in Sydney, and it's a deflating, let me get it right, 16-6, 16-9.
Yeah, but I believe that game in Sydney was closer perhaps than the score itself showed. I think that was a game where Faze was winning a lot of the key rounds, right? The reset rounds and the 2v2 clutches, the 2v3, right? That's where the individuals from Faze really stepped up, and Cloud9 couldn't get any momentum going in that series, really. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out here. Faze has been winning more of the playoff series, really, barring the major grand final one, right? They won every single other playoff series versus Cloud9. So for C9, it's always going to be how do we crack the code when it comes to playing against Faze Clan.
I'm sorry, I feel like I need to explain it so people don't think I'm crazy. I'm giggling. The reason I'm giggling is because, so when there's a delay, normally I have the producer, he'll tell me like fixing an SSD or player needs to pee or whatever it is, right? This was a new one for me. Sorry, we're just fixing a table. I don't know, I just have this image of like Guardian sitting there like with an IKEA catalogue like, okay, so we need to put the Malm in the Fujo or whatever. My Swedish isn't very good. They all have funny names, come on.
So, but we saw Guardian, was he the one cranking the table up to power up his PC?
He was.
So maybe that's the issue. Maybe, you know, they're going to get someone out there on it, get it going. But
apparently, I've had a confirmation. It is player with table height preference. I know that everyone's very fussy about their table height.
I travel with a tape measure, so if they want to make sure they get it just
Actually used to.
I used to, and I had a little level that I put on top of the monitor to make sure she was schmick.
That's not a thing.
Well, I like...
straightness of your monitor.
Things need to be plumb, all right? I was a plumber. Things need to be plumb. They need to be level. They need to be good.
Yanko was just grateful to have a desk and a chair.
Yeah, I think that's for the one where I didn't need to put books on beneath the monitor. Really, that
we all had that monitor stand at some point in our lives for sure. Okay, back to the Counter-Strike. My distraction. I blame him over there for that one. But we can get back into the Counter-Strike. Cash is the map, and sorry to cut you off, Yanko, with my giggles.
No, I mean, for a map like Cash, Curveball from Cloud9, that's where they need to have some, settings prepared for Faze, because as we talked about, it's the map where they're most comfortable on the T and the CT side. On the CT side, they really like to be aggressive, do a lot of pop flashing into A main early and mid-round to disrupt their opponent. We've seen them versus Astralis in that grand final actually everywhere on the map, even after they lose checkers control, Guardian pop flashing rain in to check that side of the map. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that really pans out here.
Can I have another interjection? You know me. You know me. I'm always getting word in my ear with the B stream updates, and I know this one has taken us off on a tangent. But Mouse Sports versus Sharks.
Shark, I think it is. Is it plural?
Here's the Sharks.
Sharks. Okay.
Sharks, because there's 5 of them and a coach.
Well, they're not actually sharks. They're not
like
actually
street sharks.
mouse.
I'll put my shirt on to support them. Anyway, that game is live. They're starting on the T side of Inferno, and they're currently winning 6-0 against Mouse Sports.
Yeah, that always happens.
That old chestnut.
Welcome to Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's on the B stream.
That's
you guys can all check that out if you want.
I think also that's quite interesting when it comes to Cash is when FaZe was playing prior to that grand final is the fact that, for example, in the game versus Fnatic, they win the pistol round on the T side, they're 3-0 up, and then in the first 2 gun rounds, they just do nothing. Like, it was really like that.
Very frustrated.
Like the lack of coordination, and it's like the first 2 gun rounds, they had good anti-eco, so that's where you can really run away with the game early on. Be 5-1, 6-1 up on a map that's T-sided like Cash. That's your, golden opportunity, really, and FaZe just squandered it completely. And you look at rounds like that and you're thinking, is there anyone even calling anything? Like, what's going on? Is this just like default and let's go A and exist lurk mid, right? So it's sometimes questions, what's going on in the team, and then they show up in the grand final versus Astralis, and you see some very cool things from them, some fakes, right, some explosive plays. Where was this the whole tournament? Yeah. So that could be a way in for Cloud9. If FaZe is off to another slow start, they could definitely capitalize.
I think you have to put that down to a mentality thing with the FaZe roster, in the sense of when you're getting to the semifinals and the grand final tournament, like every single tournament you play, when you play the first game, it's very difficult to get into that mindset. And the good point Carrigan made, they played 17 maps in that last tournament, right? That actually put them through their paces. That's a good learning tool, a good way to integrate existence as a team nice and quickly.
Absolutely.
They were also lucky, because it's the same format we've had in Katowice and in Sydney, right? Both of those games, their opening best of 1 was versus Order. So they had like a 16-3, 16-4 win in best of 1s. And we know best of 1s can be tricky. And this tournament is great, like this format, because you only have that as the opening game. Then everything else is best of 3, so you won't be out before you play at least 1 best of 3 series. But FaZe really need to be, focused from the start, not to let anything slip in the opening game.
And I remember there was an interesting interview, I think we ran it at a previous event, where it was automatic talking about how actually they enjoy playing against FaZe because it's Counter-Strike they understand. Which I found...
heads up CS, right? It's taking duels, it's taking
North American
fights.
Counter-Strike, some would say.
Well, this is the thing. Cloud9 are a team who are, with Stewie more so, once they just want to take duels, and both teams are actually in that same boat, right? This is the reason when Yanko talks about Keish and the way that they're approaching that A-bomb site. I actually remember Carrigan saying after the fact, we weren't using our nades properly, the players in the team just want to take fights. And then obviously they got their act together and they looked better, and going into that final against Astralis, they fixed everything, obviously, to take that W. But if they come out and they want to play that lackadaisical style of CS, right, and they want to, be a little bit lazy in the way that they approach and their, I guess, strats and all their game plan, they could be having a real rough time.
I want to see something from Cloud9 that tells me why have they decided to go for Cash. I don't just want this to be, well, we lost Mirage 7 times after we picked it, let's just try anything else. I want them to see, maybe try and abuse Nico in Squeaky, because he's going there almost every single round on the T side, like maybe Pop Flash, find a way to disrupt FaZe, because they won't be changing much since City. They had to play a lot of VCS too.
Yeah, and I think that's a point I'd like to make as well, is that Cloud9 have been quote-unquote at home and are not flying too far to be here. Sure. They have had time to sit around in a team house and have FNS say, guys, we're going to play Cash against Faze. You know, that's a conversation they can have had, language, could have had, and of course are going to be coming to this one, I imagine, with full confidence.
Yeah, I think the fact is the default style that Faze run early, it's very easy to pick apart. You just need a couple of well-orchestrated moves, right? A pop flash here, a pop flash there, and you're able to pick them apart. And we can see how poor their utility usage was in the mid-round. They're happy to run the clock down. That means as Cloud9, you can take gamble stacks onto bomb sites, and I guess you're going to be flipping the coin from time to time, but you can give away mid, you can run you can run aggressive pushes if you know where their tendencies are. It seemed to me like they like to go to A bomb side a lot more than they did to B.
Yeah, and I understand why sometimes teams are, you know, fearful maybe a bit of being aggressive versus Faze, because that means inherently you're probably giving them some fights and aim duels, which is probably what you want to avoid in the grand scheme of things. But the way when you go aggressive is you do it in a way where you have the advantage, whether it's pop flashing or sending extra members right to an area of the map you want to take control of. That means even if a fight happens, you're supposed to be the one having the advantage. So the approach from Cloud9 will be interesting to see. As Chad pointed out, the default, you know, we know that Guardian sometimes does that. They do the run boost towards B with the op. Nico and Squeaky, we already mentioned it, you know, passively watching main, all that stuff is something you can see from looking at Faze's demos. So for Cloud9, I would definitely expect them to be a lot more aggressive on the CT side, especially if they win the pistol round and get off to that 2-0 or 3-0 start.
This is also where I'd start saying, oh, great, aggressive on the CT side, so Skadoodle's going to be taking opening peaks. Have we seen, Chad, any change from his what's been a rather passive tag affixed to him?
Not the major form Skadoodle, the one that was, you know, Stewie in interviews said that he decided to be assertive at that event. I think the thing is, when you're going up against players on the Faze roster, it's a bit harder to get away with those
I want to see Skadoodle just...
You want Skadaddy.
I want Skadaddy, anti-flash, running towards A main. There's a flash there, he goes wide, takes Guardian out, runs back towards mid, catches one crossing vents. You know, like, I want to see some swagger.
There's a difference, I guess. Valens is here, right? So having the coach behind might be able to help with a few things. Obviously, he's not the most vocal coach. I think he's more analytical from that standpoint. Maybe having him there and setting up the game plan helps a little bit. But I guess at that point, we're reaching, you know, we're definitely drawing at straws.
But what a beast Guardian is. I mean, you also have to remember talking about Cash, a map that he never used to play with Navi. That was their permaban. And then coming into Faze, you could see early on how he was struggling, you know, to grasp the rotations, the angles. He was over-peaking, even for Guardian, right? And then maybe that's also one of the reasons why Cash wasn't the strongest map for Faze. But once he got into the swing of things, now it's so fun to watch him play. He goes, you know, whether it's between middle, the B bomb side, and especially on that T side, like Guardian, we talk about it sometimes, so many peaks where you're thinking, why is he going for that peak? They already have the advantage. Just play safe, calm down, but he makes it work time and time again. And when he's on point, he's impossible to play against. Like, there's no way. Like, he just takes fights that he should lose and he manages to win them. It's insane to watch.
And I can't imagine how frustrating that would be as it keeps happening on a big stage. He's taking fights that you're almost expecting and wanting, and he wins them.
It's like that situation, everyone plays Cash. Like, it's the new Dust 2, right? And you know, when you play, you're on the CT side, you play B, you lose the A bomb side, you have like a 4v3, maybe even a 4v2 retake. You know, a guy is in like fork, quad main, one of those three spots. There's definitely a guy there. And you know how when you play the CT side and you go to retake, that Opera in fork just kills everyone. Like, he's impossible to get rid of. Like, incendiaries don't help anything. And when you play the T side and your guy is there, he just can't hit the barn. So Guardian is that guy when you play the CT side who just kills everything. And that's why he was the MVP in Sydney. That's why he is probably the biggest X factor for Faze, because he can win rounds by himself sometimes with just sheer skill.
And we were just waiting for the final headset to go on. FNS has done just that. I just want to understand if anyone is going to be siding with Cloud9 after Faze's success in Sydney.
Look, there's something in the water here in Dallas, Alex, and I would love to see Cloud9 make it to that arena. Yeah, we're almost there. I'm gonna go with Cloud9. They've always done their prep here, and I'm gonna get my bad predictions out of the tournament early.
I reckon we're gonna see some sweaty Counter-Strike. How about you, Yanko?
Well, whenever I, you know, call out Faze, they tend to surprise me, so I'm going to save that for the playoffs and go with them here, Alex.
Yeah, Faze and group stages is sometimes a dicey matter, but either way, they're about to go ahead and clash. We'll introduce the voices for this game on Cash. It's going to be none other than Hank and Haz. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Alex. Indeed, it's the first map. Here we are, Pro League Finals, Faze 9 versus Phase 9, Faze versus Cloud9. Rough start, but I'm a bit ill as well, as you can hear. As we'll get into it, it will be Faze starting on the CT side. Cloud9 starting their aggression off, not going too well. Carrigan does push through, but an equal reply there exists. Getting it done towards Squeaky Door, 4 on 3, and it keeps on coming. A lot of action so far, but Faze have the advantage for now.
Yeah, very, very fast start here for Faze. You can see Cloud9 going to start to make their way in towards this B-bomb site where Guardian and Carrigan going to lie in wait, and this is a pretty terrifying twosome to go running into. Carrigan, couple of missed shots. I was feeling still a little bit sleepy from the flight over. Now he's going to start to creep his way to the bomb site, and Cloud9 backing away, back towards mid they go. You can see the bomb on the back of FNS is going to be over here. He's got that P250, so he's a little bit more able to take these gunfights at range, and he's holding on to a flash and a smoke as well to try and make this play a reality. Exist. Heading over up towards Van, you have Nico down here in mid, holding for any aggression. He's going to be in a very good spot. They're not going to make any noise just yet. Exist playing passive. They're going to play a retake setup here on this A-bomb site. And that smoke from FNS going to go down and block off the cross. Buys them some safe passage inside of this bomb site. And now it's going to be 3 versus 4 in the afterplant. Carrigan leads the charge, and he's going to be the first man to fall. It's the flank round from Nico. I think you're going to want to keep an eye on here as he starts to make his way in. Guardian Exist over on the van, but it's been spotted. Tarek, you have to hit those. And Nico, he's not going to let you get away with that. Missed shots. And now it leaves it to FNS and Skadoodle. Trying to hold off this flank, FNS. Things are getting a bit hot for him here. He's able to find himself one, and the second to Nico, and now it is just Exist and FNS. He's going to get it all done. 4 frags with the P250 from the IGL for Cloud9, and that's them finding the pistol round.
Well, there we go. A rock'em sock'em round to kick off the Pro League finals here. Will be Cloud9 to pick up the pistol thanks to FNS. Great work on that P250. Scene of the round had fallen apart once Tarek missed. Not an easy shot on Nico, but certainly had the advantage. It can be a bit of a doozy if you miss the first couple of bullets, but Nico, I thought he'd done enough at that point, but FNS stepping up, going above and beyond, and it will be them picking up the pistol here in the best of 1. Carrigan on the scouts, so will be a partial buy. I won't call this a force. You can see 3 players without armor on the CT forces. Nico with Deagle and the helmets. So we got a couple of frags in the previous round. And we'll see if Faze can fend off these 3 UMPs and Mac 10s. It will be a sort of execute towards the A side here. A couple of smokes deployed. Molotovs in. They might consider falling back. You're going to boost one person up towards the middle. Automatic waits patiently by that Squeaky Door. And in terms of the CT setup, Faze is going to send 5 players. Make it 4 now towards the A-bomb side. No one towards B whatsoever. Automatic to investigate first. Good Molotov. That should push Exist back. And he won't get much intel from it, but he does set the team up who do come towards the A side now.
Oh, nice deep shot from Nico. Oh, maybe a little bit more. A second. He starts to believe that something might happen here. Automatic. Pushing forward. The CZ only manages 1, and that's going to leave it on a Skadoodle. Tarek, more missed shots, and Carrigan going to mop up 2 from Highway. So Faze, they're able to steal that round straight back. And now for Cloud9, things get a little bit dicey.
Well, I didn't see that coming through. It seems the scout is getting more and more prevalent within CSGO as the months roll by, having a bit of a resurgence in the last few events. Carrigan certainly getting the job done there from the Highway. It will be 1-1 and presumably the 4th buy back in return from Cloud9. That should have been the 3-0 conversion from them, considering there wasn't even a force from Faze. But they are very deadly with the pistols. One of the scariest teams on the CT side of Cash. And there will indeed be the force. You can see a focus towards those Deagles instead of a CZ. On the T side, you want to have that range. Go for the 1D, and we'll see whether Rush can find one here. Has got Carrigan on the other side, but a smoke will block his vision for now. Number 35, Carrigan up close and personal with the UMP. You'll see him use a lot of SMGs on this particular map. MP9s, UMPs, shotguns perhaps. We'll see as Tarek investigates towards middle. Now the smokes have gone down.
Carrigan's holding close as well. He's looking to really throw a spanner in the works. So Cloud9 do go for this mid plate. Exist on the Highway, playing that bait and switch role. He's going to get their attention, and that's going to allow Carrigan to do the damage. Carrigan, he's going to get spotted out, and he's dropped early on by Tarek. And that's now forced Guardian into connector here. He's going to get painted up as well. Has to be a bit careful, but he is able to find himself Rush. So into the 4-on-4, Nico. Aggression into Squeaky, does spot Automatic as well, and he's found himself 2. So it is just FNS 1v4. He got a 4K in the pistol round with the P250, if you remember, Henry. But this time it might be a little bit too much to ask.
I think you might be right there. FNS 4-on-1, no chance of a plan. He's just hoping for any sort of stat padding frags that come his way. Not going to happen though. Exist will take him down. That was the force buy from Cloud9. Did not work out for them. They get 1 kill, and it will be Faze now with a full eco up against them in round number 4. Nothing Cloud9 can really do with this one. Maybe go for a rush. You can see the equipment available and the money indeed on the right-hand side of your screen right now. Cloud9 with around $2,000 per player. It's going to do a little bit more. Bring out the orb next round. There's FNS, the new in-game leader, who seems to be performing much better than you remember last time he was in the forefront of Counter-Strike when he was in CLG, for example. Didn't really contribute in terms of high fragging potential, but it seems to have got a lot better in that department. As we get to round number 4, just a PT50, that's about it. Flashbang, get towards A, get in position, hope you can get a plan on this. There's only Nico waiting the A site. I say only, he's normally the kind of player that will get 4 frags in this sort of situation, especially when he has the AK. We'll see if they can get anything done for it. They know where Nico plays, you know his tendencies. They're going to flash that position. Let's see where it goes.
They're running in, flash goes out from Tarek. Nico's going to go to get the full brunt of that, but he has support from Exist. And yeah, this is just a mop-up, Henry. No one dies for Faze, and that's a pretty big win as far as they're concerned. As now money has well and truly built up over on this CT side. You can see Nico leading the charge, 8-2 right now. Guardian's going to get that AWP out as well very early on. Skadoodle, he's got money for it, so there we go. He's going to get one of his own. Now we get to see that AWP duel between Skadoodle and Guardian, the one that we've all been kind of waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Skadoodle, bit of pressure on his shoulders here, considering they're down. We need him to step up and give us one of those world-class performances against one of the world's best here. Skadoodle looks towards B. Smoked out now, so this excursion won't do much for him. Guardian going to be challenged by FNS. Does not spot him. Surely goes down here. I'm going to get away. A lot of pressure towards this area. Rush getting towards a white box. Players already in the vents as well. So middle is well and truly under the control of Cloud9. Towards the vents as FNS will shoot it out. Just trying to bait out Guardian once again towards Highway. Smokes towards that position. With the mid-control, you'd assume maybe an A-split coming in here. But Nico getting lots of intel. Nice reaction from Faze. And Rain just pushes FNS and Rush out of the vents. So things starting to get a little bit more under their control. Nico can patrol here alone. And we'll see where this funnels him towards the B-bomb site.
I do like this from Faze, though. They've lost control of mid. They've given that up. And in response, you can see they've put Nico aggressively into main. Guardian, tying with the idea of joining him, is going to go ahead and fall back into the bomb site. And now turns his attention down here towards middle, where there is one man in the form of Rush. Tarek, leading the charge, has to find this frag on an Nico, and if he does, this play can come through, and there it is, Tarek. He finds the first, it's only Guardian here. He does have support from Exist over on the truck, but he's been pincered in from Highway. His time on this earth looking pretty limited right now, Henry. And Flash goes through, Guardian going to try and tuck himself away into the smoke. And we don't know where he is, Guardian.
Oh my God.
There's one, and maybe a second as well, but no, Rain's going to pick it up instead. Almost a massive play, now leaves it all on Rain. 1v2, he's going to do the damage. It's Skadoodle versus Rain, and Skadoodle's going to win it out. Cloud9, they find themselves their second round, albeit by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, very scrappy finish there. Could have been a Guardian special if he had hit that second shot, I should say. Sneaks in the smoke, pretty much all he could do at that point. He manages to avoid death for about 10 seconds, gets 1 kill. If he gets a second, you feel like he's got to get the third almost guaranteed. But here's Tarek opening things up against Nico, makes his way towards the site, towards that forklift. And then the round unfolds for Faze. 3-2, still anyone's game here, but a big round coming in. Whoever wins this will force their opponents to an eco. This will be a full buy on either side, though. FNS with just a pistol there, a bit of an issue, but maybe not, as Skadoodle spots Nico. That sort of flick, you'd think he would connect, but not meant to be, and Nico walks away unscathed with the opening frag, and Tarek picks up the NWP, gives the AWP over to FNS, sorry, the AK over to FNS, and round number 6 finds Cloud9 at a bit of a disadvantage here. They'll have to make their way back towards B. Double AWP set up now, as Guardian waits towards the side of the map, going to try and play off Rain. Molotov, though, going to make things a little bit more complicated.
Guardian goes peeking over the top, of course he does, he's going to miss that shot, and now he has to rely on Rain to try and bail him out of this situation. Cloud9 haven't actually aggressed that much further forward. Guardian going to go to drop FNS. Carrigan up here in the vents. Cloud9, there are 3 remaining players stacked up outside of this B-bomb site where 3 players for Faze reside. They're going to go through the smoke, and Rain, he's dropped the bomb. It's down out in the open. Tarek going to answer back with 1, but Guardian, he's not moving. He's not giving up this bomb site, and Tarek, it's not going to happen. Guardian through the smoke. Goes out and finds himself the third of the round, the hat trick for him.
And Faze, they locked themselves in a 4th round, keeping 4 players alive as well.
Huge reset. Cloud9 at $1,400 per person now. They lose that opening pick. We could see Skadoodle ready for that as well. Boosted on the white truck, ready for any players to look for the opening kill. He gets taken down, at least from a disadvantage, and Guardian is getting it done towards B. So strong in this position. Goes through the aggression at the start, falls back when he has to. And it will be the full investment for Cloud9 here, going for every single dollar spent. Skadoodle keeps it a little bit up, 1,400. He'll just stick with the Glock, no armor, the rest of them, no Deagle, CZs. They're going to be double eco anyway, so might as well see what they can do. And like I said, Carrigan once more on that MP9, double orb setup ringing true. And it should be quite the simple procedure for Faze. I say that though, but you never know with these CZs and Deagles. They've got 3 smokes, so they can go for an execution here. Going to be probing towards middle first, just to see what's available to them. They can take down Carrigan, who everyone knows plays his position alone with the SMG sometimes. If they get him for free, they could be onto something.
They're not going to get him for free, though. He's going to go to get himself 2 before they do manage to topple Carrigan down in mid. All they've gained for it is the favor of the MP9. Nico might even try to go for a peek here. Maybe a bit overzealous, doesn't want to commit to it, so he does just tuck away. Misses the timing onto Tarek. Automatic and Skadoodle over in Squeaky. They do have to get past Exist, and now they're going to lose Tarek down in mid. You imagine that might be the call to go on in. Smoke goes through Exist. He has to deny both of these, stop that bomb going down. Might not even have a chance as Nico's able to go to get 1. There's Exist with the follow-up. Faze, once again, 4 players staying alive. The only man who went down was Carrigan. He had the MP9 over in mid. So it's not all too much of a loss. And Faze, they're going to find themselves a 5th round. Cloud9 still don't have the money to invest, so they're just going to have to take the eco here.
Yeah, like I said, they were double eco regardless. So went for the force buy, didn't work out for them. Going to find himself a Glocks once more. Hasn't gone too well. After winning the pistol round, remember, it was Faze to fall back with the Deagles and find themselves in a very advantageous spot here as they'll wait for the aggression with the Glocks. I don't think they spent a single dollar here. Yes, indeed. Just Glocks, no armor, no nades. Just formality at this point. Hope you can bait out some of the utility from Faze. Make them lose some money in that respect. And potentially wait for some impatient plays.
Yeah, you aren't expecting Cloud9 to really get anything done in this sort of round. For Faze, it's just a chance to build up that much more money over on their CT side. And I mean, I think this matchup is very interesting, Henry. I do love the fact that, you know, every major event this year, we've seen Cloud9 and Faze face off against each other. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
this is every event now.
Yeah, they certainly have, you know, that rivalry building up between the 2 of them. And of course, Faze just coming off the back of the win at IEM Sydney. You imagine they're going to be hungering for the title here as well at the Pro League finals. So they're stacking up outside of B. Rain, who hasn't had the best start to this game, now has a chance to pad his stats, and they're just going to walk into the blender. They're actually able to find him. Pressure's on a bit now for Guardian, who does have the AWP, not the ideal weapon for this sort of situation, but he's going to get bailed out by Carrigan. No smoke for the cross. Makes this an easy round for Faze. And while they do lose Rain, they're going to go up 6-2.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple round for them at that point. Round 9 coming in. Here we go again. Another chance for Cloud9. The Skadoodle AWP does come out, but no armor available to him. As you can see, he gets 1 smoke and the AWP. We'll have to check in on the scores. He's down there at 2 for 6. He's Rain getting it done with that AK-47. Lots of money built up now for Faze. Get himself in a position where if they win this one, they're pretty much set for the rest of the half. We'll see smokes deployed towards middle. The set piece pretty much off the bat here. You can see 3 players going towards Squeaky Door, probably smokes towards Highway. Flashbangs in, try and focus on the fact that Nico plays A alone so often. We'll see whether this works out for them. Nico with the AWP, remember, Exist will back him up, can't connect anything though. Nico surely doesn't get 2. He'll get 2.5, and now it's up to Guardian. He's surely going to get dropped as well, but still alive in the open. And the bomb will be planted, but no, it won't. Oh, goodness gracious, it does go down just in time. 3-on-2, Automatic and Skadoodle trying to fend off the ensuing Faze clan now.
There is a man wrapping round, but for Skadoodle, he's going to take the fight head on. He's dropped his AWPing counterpart in the form of Guardian. There's flank round from Carrigan that could do everything. He spots out 1, but no, Skadoodle going to smite him down. He wants to try and find himself a 3rd. Once again, it's left to Rain and clutch it out in 1v2. Times tick down very, very low, and they're just playing with the clock, acting as that third man, and there's automatic on the wraparound. It's Cloud9. They managed to find themselves a third. Thing is, they have to start to string together rounds now, because they keep getting these, single solitary rounds and then getting reset. And, Faze, they've still got plenty of money to invest, so it's going to be a still an uphill battle here for Cloud9, it feels like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lots of money available to them, but here we go, Skadoodle showing up there. A lot of missed shots from Faze. But you can see what Cloud9 were trying to do there, knowing that Nico plays alone towards that A site, trying to overwhelm him, get him before there's a chance of backup. There was, but Exist missing a lot of shots towards that squeaky door area. Definitely was good for at least one frag. But round 10 coming through now. Back to the single orb setup. Faze. Know that Cloud9 is still on the ropes. See Tarek still just a Galil. Made damage exchange, automatic wait towards Squeaky, but spotted. Lucky to be alive. Nico in a bit of trouble here as well. Flashbangs come through, smokes deployed, he'll find two. And that should be it for him, but what an absolutely amazing round. 3 frags in total, no bomb to be planted here, and they know exactly where automatic is. Great stuff by Faze, bending off the set piece, and Cloud9 get absolutely nothing done there. Nico shuts it all down, USP to find the third. And that's money gone once again, Harry, as we get into round number 11. Might just have to be the force buy once again with CZ and Eagles.
Yeah, and one of the things the guys spoke about over on the desk was how, Cloud9 go with a surprise pick of Cash here. You imagine they have some sort of trick up their sleeve, something to, really kind of throw a spanner in the works. But right now we haven't seen much more out of them other than hitting this A bomb site, it feels like. They haven't really done anything that leaps out as being, a reason why they would pick this map just yet. Hope that does get changed around. This round is the force buy from them. It looks like they go back towards this A-bomb site. It's tried, it's tested, and it's where they've had the majority of their results. They're going to boost up players into mid. That's Tarek and Rush. They try and find something onto Exist. Carrigan. They have spotted Carrigan out, but he's going to get both the kills over in mid. That's one of the prongs in this 3-pronged attack. Got into the A-bomb site. And now it's all onto Nico and Exist to mop up the remaining players as they trickle on in. 1 kill from automatic, but 10 HP. He is going to fall. And Faze, once again, 4 players staying alive. That seems to be the reoccurring theme. I think in every round they've won, actually. They all but one, they've had 4 or more players surviving. So
yeah, this isn't looking too good for Cloud9. After that force buy, they have to take another eco here. They're 8-3 down, almost certainly going to be 9-3. Not over just yet. They can still convert that to a 9-6, but that's quite unlucky. It would take an absolute misplay from Faze to give up any more than maybe 1 or 2. Now as we get into the next round, it will be flashbangs, Glocks, and a B-rush. Why not? Hopefully find Guardian there and see if he misses a bullet.
Oh, he's not going to miss that first one. Tarek learns that the hard way. Has support from Rain up in the heavens. Well, this is just them getting dismembered. What a quick round. Guardian and Rain hold on to B, and they make it look easy. Faze a 9th now on the scoreboard. Buy coming in for Cloud9. Skadoodle has enough money once again to get the AWP out. For Cloud9, struggling to see what the solution to this problem is. Faze are just looking very, very crisp right now. They've counteracted everything that Cloud9 have tried to throw their way.
We'll have a look at the buy. Excuse me. Struggle today, Harry. We'll have a look at the buy, and we'll see the AKs, the AWP, a lack of utility. 1 Molotov, the rest of them with smokes. Rain will be in the vents this time as the boost comes in towards middle. Rush needs to be very careful and aware. You can see quite a passive, sensitive hold until Nico gets involved. He's having a bit of a game. Flashbang to get him out of dodge, and there it is, 5 on 4, and most utility expended for Cloud9. 1:15 still remaining, but is that going to be enough considering we've lost a man advantage? Got no real mid control just yet. Going to set the bomb towards that area. You can see FNS is in the corner there, getting ready to move, but you feel like Rain's going to get 1 or 2 here. Everything looking so perfect. The utility's on point. Carrigan finds yet another kill. Molotov to buy him some time. He flushes out FNS. He's absolutely done for. Definitely dead. Oh, maybe not. He does survive, and a couple of kills come in for Cloud9. There it is. There's the conversion. Bomb drops, and Skadoodle makes a lot of noise. Exist trying to hunt him down. Does push through, and here's him going towards A.
Yeah, he's got all the information in the world right now. Does Exist. Tarek is already out, though, and he might catch Guardian off guard. He misses that opening shot, and Guardian not going to be so lucky as he mops up both kills there. Faze find themselves a 10th, and my goodness, in honor of you, Henry, is just a sick performance right now from Faze.
Oh, yes. It absolutely is. 10-3. Money gone again. They'll have to take another partial buy as the loss bonus racks up once more. How he's got the 4 already, I have no idea, but Guardian, that was phenomenal. 2 fantastic shots there. This is a very efficient-looking Faze. If you remember, last event, we had them look so poor throughout the group stages and somehow get to the semi-final. Then they really turned it up, and this is the Faze you're looking at right now. As we'll get into the next round, Nico. Ready and waiting once again. They have 4 sport, just to note. Galil's and one of the CZs now removed. Nico gets it done. Looking for a bit more here. He'll take it. 5 on 3 just like that as they desperately make their way towards A.
And blink of an eye, everyone's dead. If you did blink, you've missed this round. Automatic. He's going to get nothing done. 3 kills for Nico, 2 for Carrigan. And for Cloud9, this kind of, you know, this rather odd pick of Cash, you know, the curveball thrown against Faze, it doesn't really look like it's working out right now, at least in this first half. I think if there was one team in the world I wouldn't want to play Cash against, it is probably Faze.
Yeah, it's the deathmatch. We used to say this is the new Dust 2. Obviously now Dust 2 back in the map pool. You can see how aggressive CTs can be. So many options at the very start, so many frags available to them. And the final round of the half comes in, looking like it'll be 12-3. Galil's out once again, no utility. A desperate force bite, and we'll see whether this Guardian play towards B will work out once again. Another slow default, double orb setup is out. There's Carrigan, hurls towards middle. I think there's a boost coming in towards the A site. Indeed there is. Nico does so well up here. Good chance to throw it in, the last one. 1-25. And there will be another boost coming through. Let's look at the scoreboard. 2 kills and 14 deaths now for Rush. As he goes down at the start of the round, Carrigan still alive and kicking. Will he be able to keep that up is yet to be seen.
Yeah, he's done in the AWP over here in middle. You can see there's Guardian and Raid. They've been so good at locking down this B-bomb site, and that is, well, going to be a bit of repetition for them. Scoodle automatic falling, and everyone's dying across the board. Just Tarek left alive. He's got this, Galil. He's going to go through the smoke, and he has managed to find Guardian. The bomb's dropped back, so he's going to have to go searching for it. Carrigan over here towards Heaven. Tarek has the AWP in hand. A 1 versus 3 is a big ask here for him. And oh no, Exist. He's discovered the bomb. He's holding the angle. Tarek misses that shot. Just going to get painted up with damage. And Nico's there to slide the knife in the back. It's going to be a 12-3 half here as Faze, they managed to get it done.
Certainly do. It was looking like it was going to be a very interesting game in the start. Cloud9 winning the pistol. We thought the 3-0 conversion. It's a map they're certainly comfortable on, but it did not work out for them at all. So, what's the play for the next half? Well, we are getting ready for the second half. Have a look at the stats here. Nico, 21 kills in 1 half. Not too bad at all. Carrigan, Guardian, just chasing behind him there, but Rush, 2 in 15. He's had a bit of a struggle recently, hasn't he? Hasn't looked his usual self life. Back in the major, world-class form. Definitely one of the instrumental players, but seems to be dropping off significantly, especially in this performance.
Yeah, I mean, there was even a few times back in Sydney where he had those stellar performances, right? I can't remember who it was against, but there was that one map where he just, you know, single-handedly pulled Cloud9 through it. But right now, he's been very, very quiet, leaving a lot to be desired. They need the pistol round here if they want to make a resurgence in the second half. Faze, they're looking good. They sit 9 rounds ahead here. Nico leading the charge. He's looking absolutely unreal. And then he's got the supporting cast of Carrigan and Guardian there behind him. Exist, someone who we so often talk about when it comes to Cash, having a pretty quiet game, but he's been, I don't know if you noticed over on that A-bomb site, he's been throwing out some instrumental flashbangs. You know, he's been the man there with the utility, setting up mainly Nico to make just these incredible plays over towards main. So he's been pretty selfless this time around. Usually he's a bit of a mad fragger when it comes to Cash, but he has been, you know, providing the support this time around.
Second half to begin momentarily. The Deagle is out for Guardian. The P250 is in the hands of Carrigan. 3 sets of armor, 1 smoke. Cloud9 need this round desperately. They'll have one defuse kit, FNS with the support utility. As it looks like we are ready to go. You can see Cloud9 just kind of listening to the coach Valens. He gets to chime in at this point. There's Carrigan. Very comfortable position. I don't see Faze throwing this one away. They win the pistol is guaranteed. If they don't, there's a chance for Cloud9. Maybe a bit of an overzealous purchase to Deagle coming in, 2 players of hard armor. We'll see. As we get into it, Rush needs to start stepping up again. FNS quiet game as well. We'll get into the next half now and see whether this very default-looking approach from Faze works out for them.
Cloud9, early on, 4 players over a mid. Are they going to try boosting some of these guys over? Tarek's led the charge, and everyone just backing him up right now. They leave Rush to keep an eye on the boost. This does mean that FNS is going to have his work cut out for him as they play this retake set up into the A-bomb site, but 3 players able to come through into the back line. Guardian clearing out B, and if he spots this as clear, you can see Faze starting to fall back. They're going to go walking into this flank. Tarek goes down, but are they ready for Skadoodle? Who's up on top of Red. He's going to miss those shots, and those would have been big kills to find. Luckily enough, Automatic tries to come through to bail him out. Guardian still down in the back line, and right now you have Nico and Guardian both out on these sites. You can see Guardian's flanking round, and he's spotted out the man on truck in the form of FNS. This is a very, very sloppy round, Henry.
Yeah, it's an absolute mess, isn't it? Guardian at least keeping the dream alive for Faze. The bomb goes down. Nico, great shot. Oh, that should be it now. 3-on-2, Automatic and FNS do have the kit, but they're separated from each other. Guardian with a huge advantage seems to know Automatic exactly where he is. Can't hit the shot though, just buying time. Doesn't even go for this kill really, just stay alive as long as possible. He'll go down eventually. Could have done a bit more with that in my opinion, but still 2-on-2. Bomb ticking away. FNS needs to find an instant kill on Nico, but gets it to the face, and it will be pretty much round guaranteed at this point. The kit not going to be available. Bomb ticking away. Still 2 kills to find. That won't even happen. 13-3. As Faze look likely to run away with this one. Yeah, certainly a scrappy pistol round. And Faze, though, just getting great flanks, good positioning. Guardian towards B as they're planting on A. Very difficult to handle.
Yeah, it looked like everything was stacked against them as well. You know, it's an interesting call from Cloud9 to go for the push down into mid, but it was Guardian who made all the difference.
Well, and Skadoodle, to be fair, if he hits just one of those opening kills, drops off, they're safely returned. But the fact he misses so much forces pressure onto his teammates to try and go for the frag as well. Gets him in an awkward spot. One of those kills had to connect for Skadoodle. That was quite easy by any pro's perspective. And either way, 13-3, forced by, of course, with the CT's pretty much last chance to stay in this game.
We've already got Guardian out in mid. He has Rain joining him. Harrigan's actually taken the bomb back over here towards this B bomb site. Looks like they might consider splitting on in through the vents. Rush and FNS here. CZ and Armor between them both. We know how strong this CZ can be in a choke point like this. Now the question becomes, can they get anything done? You can see players about to drop out the rent. That's Guardian leading the way. Rush manages one, and now FNS hiding down in the pit has his work cut out for him. Guardian is going to fall, but Exist is there to mop up the frag. We're into a 3-on-3. The bomb going to go down inside of this B bomb site for Cloud9. They're going to try trickling on in to get this done. Nico down beneath the vents. Ooh, he's going to go down to Skadoodle. That's a big kill to find. Now there's an AK in hand for Cloud9. A chance to make something of this round. Time is working against them. Ouch. And Exist, 3rd kill for him, and a 4th as well. Just taking off heads left and right. As Exist cements that 14th for Faze. Hope seems to have run pretty dry here for Cloud9.
And they might have to force it. He can't really allow Faze to get to map and indeed match points so early on. They will indeed be forcing Scout CZs. I think they know which way this one's heading. They can absolutely miracle to win this round. Great work by Existo. Lovely shots. Looking towards Checkers and the main entrance. Forced by, although close, it's almost in vain considering they don't win the round. They had to win that. As Nico will be spraying off towards mid. Close, but no cigar. You might want to push to have your rush considering you hear the reload, but not going to do it just yet. They'll hold up and try and fend off match points here.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky to say the very least. That's kind of putting it very generously here for Cloud9, but that's a nice start. Tarek with the scout. You said it's becoming more prominent at the minute, and think there's good reason, especially when you consider how strong the CZ is, right? You can paint them up with damage from the scout, and then the CZ becomes a death sentence.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's not so much looking for frags, it's doing that damage through the smoke, finding little picks, and giving the CZ a bit of an advantage when it comes down to it. It's obviously got a lot of running gun potential as they'll find themselves in a 5-on-4. Carrigan waiting for any sort of reaction here. Automatics alone on the A site. It will be an A finish from Faze. If Automatic goes down with nothing, that's pretty much the game. Molotov's in. He's got to find a 1D cap. He hasn't got much backup. Will he be able to pull it off? Not the cleanest of starts, but still has time. Nico takes down Tarek. Automatic to reposition. There's a kill through the smoke. Another chance here. Automatic still can't convert that frag. There it is. And they should be able to win this round at this point. But Guardian's still alive. A kicking gets 2. Carrigan chimes in as well. And what was looking so promising falls apart. And FNS has had such a quiet game so far. 5-16, left in a 2-on-1 clutch. And taken down. Guardian just looking so good at the rifles recently. Very impressed with that.
Yeah, this is Guardian famously, back when they, played with Na'Vi, didn't touch this map for 2 years, I think it was. They managed to dodge playing it at all. And, now whenever you see him on Cash, he looks so at home here. He's been unleashed. It was a good map for him all along. Right now, he's 18-6. He's going to be heading the top of the board along with Carrigan and Nico. And for Cloud9, this is it, their last-ditch attempt to stay in this one, Henry.
Another force buy, unfortunately for them. They haven't really got going. They won the first half pistol, and since then, it's been an absolute nightmare. Faze have looked clinical, though. Everyone chiming in with frags, and unfortunately, Cloud9 still warming up to the tournament. Not looking their absolute best here. A few of the players is completely absent. So, Rush, 3-18, FNS, 5-17. Scooter's got 9 kills, but hasn't done much for the AWP. Nico, that first half performance though, that really did them in. 25 kills now, 21 in the first half. And they'll have UMP, CZ, the scouts to try and hold on. They need 12 rounds in a row to force overtime. It's best of 1. Doesn't sound that likely.
It doesn't, but we've seen between these two teams how overtimes sometimes appear from nothing.
Pro League as well, and this is a Pro League special.
That is very true. Pro League does love to go for as many rounds as it possibly can. Here's Tarek over here in mid. There is Nico down in Squeaky. Right, that initial barrage of utility. And are they going to go on the back of this? You can see they're taking their time. They're sitting back, waiting to see if Cloud9 try to hand any sort of aggression. There's a man pushing up to Tarek over in mid. That's going to be Rain. Missed shot from Tarek. He doesn't want to find anything the second time around. Now, Automatic has to hold his own. He's only good for 1. And Nico, he's fully flashed, but he still finds kills. It is just Rush. In a 1v4, he's only got 3 kills this entire game, Henry. I'm not fancying his odds too much here.
Yeah, I think you might be right. We know which way this one is heading. 16-3 to Faze. Not even a consolation frag there for Rush. Very disappointing game. Remember, they won that pistol and just got completely wrecked on their T-side of Cash. And they had a few openings as well, managed to get a couple of rounds, couldn't convert them, kept getting reset, kept force buying, and pretty brutal best of 1 there. This is the Faze that won the championship last week, and they're looking like they're continuing that form here in the best of 1. But that's it from us, Harry. We'll throw it back to the analysts.
Thank you so much, gents. Yes, a quick start to our first day here. We don't really get to see too much Counter-Strike, at least from one of the teams, as Henry does so eloquently put. You win the pistol, and that's a third of your rounds.
That's a win condition against Faze, right? If you win the pistol, you need to convert. That's a pretty standard place to be, but there was one player that I pointed out needed to step up and be, I guess, on the scoreboard for this Cloud9 roster, and it was Rush. And I don't like pointing out individuals, but the last 2 tournaments, he's had pretty lackluster performances. It's something that I think Cloud9 needs to set the tempo and set the pace. There's not really a lot you can say because Faze were just dominating across the board. All the entry frags were going their way. They were finding opening kills left, right, and center. Didn't look like Cloud9 had anything special prepared. I guess it was just what they felt, a curveball in the veto that fell flat, and you got to be happy with that warm-up if you're Carrigan and the boys.
Yeah, and did you see Carrigan's tweet as well? He tweeted out saying like it was a poll of which map's going to be played.
Mirage.
For Mirages, he thought it was going somewhere else, and despite that, a very comfortable cash.
We know Carrigan likes his mind games when it comes to the veto, right? Like he's expecting Mirage, and then he's actually playing 5D chess, because FNS plays 4D, so if you're gonna outsmart FNS, you have to go for that 5D chess, Alex. And he's like, oh yeah, they're expecting Mirage. They're going to pick their best map against them. Let's see. They're not going to expect that. And this is what happens. Very poor performance from Cloud9. Obviously, not just the 16-3 scoreline, but in that first half, they didn't get the bomb down in all of their round losses. So we always talk about Cash and that A bomb side, how it's, you know, relatively easy to get the bomb down at the very least, and then you can have some chances to win it in the post plan. But Nico was just a menace in that first half towards the A bomb side, playing in front of the smokes, close to the forklift, sometimes going for that double op, and Cloud9 couldn't do anything.
27 frags in 19 rounds.
Nice, isn't it? You know, obviously when he had that Deagle round with the second to win the force bar, that's quite nice to see. But you saw, to start off the highlight reel, FNS had 2 kills on the pistol round. He only had 5 kills for the whole game.
He had 4 kills in the pistol round.
Sorry. Well, there you go.
Even worse.
There you go. He only had 5 kills for the whole game, and 4 of them were from the pistol round.
Man. Okay, so a slow start for Cloud9, and of course, let's not forget that this is now starting to change the storyline of this affair. Faze versus Cloud9.
The thing it does for me, and I think in the scheme of this tournament and what we saw from Faze in the early stages of Sydney, is the fact that they're picking up where they left off, okay? So they've obviously won the tournament in very close fashion. All their players had ramped up. Things started to click, having his role, having his impact in the team. And now they've continued that across for the first round here against Cloud9. Now, Yanko pointed out last time Faze have played Order in their last 2 openings of these tournaments for ESL IEMs. They've had the warm-up, but they've still kind of dipped off. So the test will be if they continue this in the next best of 3.
Faze in the last 3 openers, 16-3, 16-4, 16-3. So maybe the first game of the day is going really well for them in this new season.
Yeah, maybe that's their thing. That's their new mojo. Because let's not forget that we've typically attributed them to being slow starters in the sense of get us to the playoffs and then we'll maybe, you know, start sweating a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes these tier 1 teams, you know, only think about, okay, so if we meet SK in the semis, who do we have left for the final, right? And you still haven't played your group stage and you get carried away a little bit. But, you know, Faze getting business done. And I think this Cloud9, it was always more of a grudge match than really a rivalry, right? Because Cloud9 wasn't really up to their level. And obviously they beat them at the major grand final, right? That was the big one. But when you look at all the other encounters, all the playoff ones, Faze won them, and you know, rather convincingly. Most of the time, the one-loss series was the one in Marseille in the group stages, and that really didn't change all that much.
No, absolutely. And I think the last kind of question I will have is, so they're going to be playing now Sharks versus Mouse Sports. Did you get a B-Stream update?
So coming in hot and direct now, Alex, off the pressures on the B-Stream, 15-10 currently to Mouse Sports. They've turned around. Oscar, our boy, he's picked it up. He's playing some good counter. They just need 1 round to secure this, and they have the opening kill in this one. So Sunny has 2 big kills. They're probably going to win it. It's probably over.
But Sharks have managed to get double digits versus Mouse Sports.
Yeah, but we know Mouse Sports, like the same thing kind of happened at the last 2 events, right? There wasn't like they had any blistering kind of victories or whatever. Oscar was a little bit flat until he needed to step up. If he's back in good form for this event, that's good looking forward.
Absolutely. And looking forward, we shall. We've got another game coming up for you next. We get to see NRG versus Heroic coming up after the break. We'll be seeing how that one plays out. Another North American team, a team that caused quite the stir. Let's see if they can do it again here in Dallas.